This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And the X-Zone Radio and TV show is broadcast worldwide on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right around this great big world of ours. My guest this hour is Deborah Moffitt. We're going to be talking to Deborah about a deadly haunting. And now it's a true story, X-Zone Nation. We're going to be talking about the frightening experiences that the Moffitt family experienced. And They struggled against a vastly intelligent and destructive demon and a daily battle to maintain their sanity. Though many believe demons to be beings wrought of mindlessness, hate, and malice, a deadly haunting will change that perception and change the way we see evil. A host of paranormal investigators visited the Moffitt home during the 6-year period of nightmare that Mr. Entity plagued them, including Ed and Lorraine Warren. And the phenomena investigated included apparitions, apportation of physical objects, and direct communication in writing and symbols. Joining me now is Deborah Moffitt. And Deborah, welcome to the X-Zone.
Well, thank you.
Deborah, tell us a little bit about yourself and how this haunting affected you personally.
I think it changed the way I looked at things. I wasn't a very religious person. I had a belief in God, but after this experience, I think it strengthened my belief in God because I realized if evil like this exists, then to balance, there's got to be a strong God to fight this. So I think that's the only way I really changed is in my beliefs.
Now, when did the phenomenon begin?
It actually began before I came out to California. This happened in Rancho Cucamonga, California. And it started back in 1984 when my mother-in-law hired a Guatemalan housekeeper for her mother who had a stroke and was dying, and they needed someone to take care of her. Now, I can only tell you what I was told at this time.
That's fair.
And what experts who examined evidence later on deduced from it. They think that the way this happened was this lady, in her attempts to keep my mother-in-law's mother alive so she wouldn't lose her job, practiced some type of santeria or magic to try to keep her alive. And in doing so, she opened some type of portal, and this was released.
Let me ask you, what was it? What were the experts, and I'm talking about the medical community, law enforcement, and the scientists saying about what was going on in the house? Did the law enforcement agencies look towards any foul play in this matter?
Do you know what? We never really contacted law enforcement. My mother-in-law, she was very upset that this was happening. Not just upset it was happening, but she was embarrassed. She was almost like ashamed. She thought people would think if we told a lot of people about this that we were crazy or that she thought she was being punished for something. So she tried to keep this as quiet as possible until it became too much for us to handle. And finally, we convinced her that we had to have people come in to try to get rid of this. So we never really contacted law enforcement. We contacted people that worked with the paranormal and education, things in that vein to try to get rid of it.
So there weren't any scientific professionals that were brought into this investigation?
Well, we had Thelma Moss from the University of UCLA. She was an expert in this. She sent someone out called Kerry Gaynor, who came to the house and investigated. He was from the university. We also had people that were supposedly experts in the field. Dr. Rowland, I think was his name. It was, this was 25 years ago, and probably I can't remember everyone who came, but we had numerous people come.
All right, but what I'm saying is,
Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is that the professionals that came out were slanted towards the paranormal.
Yes, they actually were.
Okay. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break, my dear. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Exonation, my guest this hour is Deborah Moffitt. And for more information on Deborah, first of all, the book is called A Deadly Haunting, and the website is www.adeadlyhaunting.com. That's adeadlyhaunting.com. And Deborah and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break in 2 minutes as the X-Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The X-Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, is heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our family of broadcast affiliates worldwide. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, a guiding light spelled LITE.com to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. My guest this hour is Deborah Moffitt. We're talking about A Deadly Haunting. Now, this is a book that's based on a true story as told by Deborah Moffitt. It was written by Joey Albright. www.adeadlyhaunting.com. All right, so what were some of the paranormal activity that was happening in the house, and how long did it last?
It started down at our first address. Mm-hmm. We moved trying to get away from it. When it first started, it wasn't hostile in any way. It was more of look what I could do by mm-hmm. moving things from room to room. It was more like just getting your attention. When we moved. The day before we moved is when we really started to understand that this was an evil force. It seemed to get upset we were moving, mm-hmm. and my mother-in-law and I were in the house just ready to take the last box, and we heard noise in the kitchen, and the entity pulled all the cupboards off the walls in the kitchen and threw them down and then blew out the windows in the bedroom. So it was like it was showing us its displeasure at us leaving. So when my mother-in-law never went back to that house again. We moved to our new residence, hoping that we left everything behind us. Unfortunately, it was only for 2 or 3 weeks that we had peace, and then things start happening again.
Wow. Now, even with the fact that the cupboards were ripped off the kitchen walls and that the windows were blown out, nobody called the police? Nobody called any official to make a report?
No, because my mother. First of all, what are we going to report that the cupboards blew off the walls? I mean, it was to a point where we had no one to blame. We couldn't mm-hmm. say someone broke in the house and did this. So what could you report that things were happening?
Well, I'm just looking at it from a landlord's point of view. If any of our homes that we rent out, and if we went to do an inspection, and we saw the kitchen trashed, windows blown out, cupboards ripped off the walls, we would call the police and say that, like, this is vandalism. The last tenants here are responsible. So, did you own that house?
Yes, we owned it.
Okay.
We owned the 3 houses right in a row. The house we owned next to this
Gotcha.
House, where my mother-in-law's mother died and the lady practiced the Santeria. That's where it all started, and it went to the 3 houses that we owned right in a row. We had rented those out. So when we left, everybody mm-hmm. was gone but us. So we owned everything. So when we left, the people that bought the property were mm-hmm. going to tear them down. So it really didn't matter. So, I mean, we didn't have to explain
Gotcha.
any damage.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. At the time when these paranormal events were happening, were there any young children, young teenagers in the house?
No, there were just the 4 of us, my mother and father-in-law and my husband and myself. That was it. And until this lady came mm-hmm. a few years previous, they had never had anything happen whatsoever. It had been quiet, no paranormal activity at all. And then it slowly started to escalate.
Tell me about the entity itself.
The entity was extremely powerful, but he was extremely intelligent. I mean, I remember watching movies when I was young about demons and things, these horrible things that just did random acts of horror. But this entity did those, but it also communicated. And it communicated by writing on the mirror with soap. And it would write just like I'm talking to you. There'd be a conversation. Now, he never wrote right in front of our eyes. You had to leave the room, and then he would answer your questions or write on the mirror. And, of course, at the time when it first started happening, you want to rationalize mm-hmm. thinking, well, maybe one of us is doing this. So we did an experiment. We cleaned the mirror off. We shut the door. We all went outside the door. We waited.